check out my podcast, the North and South podcast. It's part of Bucks Nation / SB Nation, and it's North and South B1 on Twitter. So check it
All
out.
right.
I promise you'll like it.
Man, you guys do great work, man. I love your work, and I kind of want to jump right into this. I'm super excited because camp is here. Just kind of replaying the off season a little bit. Where we got a new head coach, and some of the players that we know are gone. Some new players have come in, and you've got a new system in place on both sides of the ball. And I'm going to start out with defense because that's the elephant in the room. I don't know if you will agree with me on this, but the defense has been somewhat inconsistent going back over a decade, and we just haven't got as fans, you haven't gotten full production out of them for some time. So, how is the defense coming along? I know you kind of have to be you can be optimistic, but you cautiously optimistic. How do you see the defense so far, or what have you seen so far?
So it's important to keep in mind at the beginning of training camp that the defense is usually already going to have a leg up on the offense. So we got to keep that in context. But aside from that preface, dude, the defense, especially the secondary, has looked really, really good through the first 3 days of camp. Secondary is flying around. They're making plays. They're picking the ball off every single day. They're getting hands on balls. They're moving around just like we expected from a Todd Bowles defense. And everything right now is moving along well. You're going to wonder eventually when the offense catches up, they get their system down, they start getting everything going over on that side, if things will kind of start to even out. But right now, man, I've really enjoyed what I've seen from the defense.
And when you say that, you talk about the offense, and you say the offense is trying to catch up. Normally, the offense usually has a leg up on the defense as far as they don't know what plays the offense is going to run. This is camp, and that's the one thing that we have to preface all this with. We're in camp right now, and this is a newly installed offense and defense. So, what you may see, Jameis Winston getting picked off 4 times, the defense playing, really upbeat, flying to the ball. That's all good, and it's as we progress, that's what we want to see. You want to continuously see that until it translates out of the field for game one. So I'm not going to be Debbie Downer and say, "Oh, this is camp," but I do just want to say this is camp, and these guys are still learning a system, and that's always a positive when you see that. Would you agree?
Certainly, and I mean, you're right. I mean, it is camp, it's early stages and all that stuff. But compared to what I saw last year at training camp, this is a completely different defense. This is a completely different secondary. They're not sitting back and just reading and reacting. They're going after the ball. They're making things happen. They're making the receivers challenge for the ball. They're making the quarterbacks throw accurate passes in tight windows, which they're not really doing right now. We can talk about that a little bit later. But this defense is forcing the offense's hand right now. And like I said, it's day 3 of camp, first day of pads. But I would rather see that happen than the same old stuff we've seen over the last couple of years on defense. So the fact that it's a new system, however, it's impactful within the first few days, that's super encouraging to me.
Yeah, that's very important, man. I mean, just based on what we've seen, and like you said, just kind of sitting back and that wait and see what the offense is going to do kind of thing, instead of being ball hawks and jumping routes and that kind of thing. I think that you're right. It is encouraging. So, are there any players that have kind of stood out to you that you're like watching right now?
On defense specifically,
Yeah, on defense specifically. We'll get to offense.
yes, Carlton Davis, man, he's been unreal. Especially the past 2 days, he had three pass breakups yesterday and an interception, and then he also had a few breakups today. He did let one, which Arians actually called him out on it after practice. He did let up a big fourth down catch to Mike Evans on a deep sideline throw. That was supposed to be a fourth down in the 2 minute drill. He did allow that, and he was pretty hard on himself after that. But Sean Murphy Bunting, he's looked great as well. Devin White's actually been pretty quiet. Um, I don't really necessarily know if because the linebackers aren't really the focal point of Todd Bowles' defense, but you still figure what he's supposed to mean to this defense. You figured he'd at least make one or two impactful plays by now. But Vita Vea, man, today he was able to get through the line on back-to-back plays where he just broke straight through the interior of the line, which would have been a sack in real game time. So those guys have
Okay.
definitely stood out to me.
Hey, is can you turn the volume? Can you try the volume on your mic? The listeners are saying it. It's kind of
About that,
a little bit more, maybe. Let's
that's as
see.
loud as I can go.
Okay,
We'll try to
I'll check it on my end here.
Okay.
But yeah, that's really encouraging to hear that, man, because that's kind of what you really want is that kind of production, especially out of the secondary, because again, the secondary has been what most fans have been looking at, wondering what's going on, and just getting the most out of the secondary is going to be very important.
Yeah, and Jordan Whitehead had a really nice interception on the first day of camp. And then so did Isaiah Johnson. So I mean, like I said, guys everywhere in the secondary are making plays right now, and just hopefully that translates over into real gameplay.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I guess that's the connection here. So I guess my next question would be, kind of give us the progression of camp for those of us that can't go to camp. Give everybody the progression. What do you see throughout the day? How did it start out, and how did it work too?
Today's camp was a little odd.
Okay. Okay. Give me a second here. I think you just muted. So let's see. How about now? I think I just lost your mute. Let's see. Okay, I think you're muted. Let's see. Everything is here. Okay. Testing. Yeah, I think I lost him altogether. Okay. Yeah, I lost you. I can't hear you. So, let's try this microphone. Try now. How about now? Let's do this. Okay, how about now? Looks like the off season is going to be audio is going to be my arch nemesis here this off season. Give me a second here. Let me see. Let's see, audio capture. I'm not sure what happened. Hold on one second. Let me have you try going out and going back in again. See if that does it. Stand by for us, folks. We'll get this fixed. I don't know if we made it worse. I think I made it worse. So bear with me here. Let's see. All right, let's try that. Okay, let's try. Let me try. Yeah, that's the wonders of using going live here. I'm gonna have you hit that link. Try the link one more time. I'm gonna disconnect and have you try that link one more time. So we're gonna try to get him back on here, and I'll get this fixed. I'll get this all cleaned up here pretty soon. So yeah, bear with me one moment, and we'll see if we can. And if we can get him on here, maybe that'll fix all this here. Yeah. So he's trying another browser. He's going to try to come in again, and we'll get this going here. He's got really good information as far as camp and what's going on. So just bear with me right now. He's he's gone. He'll be back on in just a moment here. And once we get him back on here, we'll proceed. Oh, it says waiting to join. All right. How about now? Yeah, you sound awesome. That's what it was. Sweet. All right, I'm going to get you back on here just a second. All right. Yeah, give me a second. I'm going to get you back on here and we'll get going again. All right. So, all right, here we go. All right. So, I've got Evan back. I think we figured out what was going on. Okay, let's just so the fans know that this works. Let's hear from you, man.
All right, yeah, testing 1, 2, 3, go Bucks. Let's do it.
Yeah, yeah, much better. Right. So I want to kind of get back to camp and the progression of camp, and just kind of get your thoughts on it.
Yeah. So the first couple days, well, actually, the first day, Blaine Gabbert was really good. Jameis Winston wasn't so good. Jameis Winston, like you said earlier, threw some picks. Blaine Gabbert was a little bit better today, in my opinion. Both of them weren't very good yesterday. However, during the 2-minute drills and the live action drills, the 11-on-11s, Jameis has moved the ball more efficiently than Gabbert has with the starting offense. So there's that. That is going in Jameis's corner. And Bruce Arians is in his corner as well. Right now, like I said, Winston has been very inconsistent throughout the past 3 days, but Arians himself said today that he believes Winston's actually ahead of the curve when it comes to how he's handling the offense and everything. So that's been a very interesting progression to watch over the last 3 days. The running backs looked really good. It's a small sample size. Like you said, it's camp. It's going to be hard to tell about the running backs throughout camp just because that position is just different than most when it comes to evaluations. But Ronald Jones looked great today. Barbers looked great as well. Andre Ellington has been making some plays. He made a really good catch, one-handed catch actually today for a touchdown that probably had no business catching. It wasn't a very good throw. Offensive line, I haven't got a chance to watch them just yet in great detail. But Alex Kappa's been with the starters all 3 days, so there's that. Donovan Smith did injure his Achilles yesterday. Bruce Arians said it was not a big deal, but Caleb Benenoch was starting at left tackle today. So that was interesting to see. And the times I watched him and focused on him, he played pretty well. The defense we've talked about, secondaries look great. Your defensive front seven, it looks right now that it's Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea, and Golston on the front line. And this is in the base defense, obviously. Mm-hmm. And then you've got Noah Spence and Carl Nassib as your outside linebackers, your edge rushers, whatever you want to call them. And then you've got, obviously, Levante and Devin White on the inside. So, and then just for information purposes, Vernon Hargreaves, Jordan Whitehead, Mike Edwards, and Carlton Davis are your starting four in the base defense. So that progression to me, watching how the defense is shaping up, or at least so far in camp, that's been probably the most interesting thing to watch outside the quarterback play.
Yeah, I think the one thing that a lot of fans are looking at is to see just how serious, how much improved Vernon Hargreaves has been. I know with Vernon Hargreaves getting drafted where he was drafted and how he's progressed in his time as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, a lot of people are of the camp that it could be coaching. It could be the scheme that he's in. A lot of people feel like, he's just not a talent. So it'll be really good to see how he's progressing in this defense. If he's playing like he was, in Florida, where he was a press man guy, and is this skill set translating to this defense?
For the most part, yes. I think more in regards to he's more confident because this defense suits his play style better. But in terms of actual play, he got roasted by Scotty Miller yesterday. Now, that's not a huge surprise. Scotty Miller's going to roast a lot of people. But, I mean, Scotty had about 2 or 3 steps on Hargraves, and it wasn't for an underthrown ball from Gabbert. It would have been an easy touchdown. Vernon did have an interception today off of Winston. However, Bruce Arians said in his media availability after practice that it was a bad route. So you got to kind of take that with a grain of salt. He had a kind of a foot issue yesterday, as in Saturday. Was seen stretching it out on the sidelines, all that good stuff. So he missed some time there. And then Scotty Miller made a really nice play over him on the first day, which you really can't hold against Vernon. He had great coverage. It was just a really good throw from Winston to Miller. So in terms of overall play, I would say I'm not worried about him because, again, it's the 3rd day of camp, but he's still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. And I want to ask you this, with Jameis Winston having a new coach, can you, and I know, again, this is camp. And so, again, you kind of have to take this with a grain of salt. Does he seem like he's a little bit, is his confidence there? I mean, can you tell a difference between this Jameis Winston and last year's, or do we still need to kind of sit back and wait and see what he's going to do as the season progresses, or as camp progresses?
Well, he's never going to have confidence issues. That's just him. But Bruce Arians is putting his best foot forward at all times when it comes to Winston. Like I said, he's been pretty inconsistent, but on day one, Arians called him fantastic. He literally used that word about how Winston performed, even though Winston threw like 4 or 5 picks that day. And then today, like I said, it says that he feels like he's ahead of the curve and where he needs to be at this point. And he even defended him a little bit, saying, he's getting the kitchen sink thrown at him right now. So the one thing that Winston certainly has right now is a head coach that has his back, which you could say he probably hadn't had for the past couple of years. And we don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now, but I thought that's obviously speculation and whatnot. But but it's really refreshing to hear Arians say those types of things. He's obviously trying to build Winston's trust. He's trying to build his confidence, especially entering a pivotal season where he needs to have the best year of his career.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you say that, with Jameis Winston, I know in the preseason, in camp, Jameis Winston kind of pushes the envelope and test throws, and he does things that are ill-advised and people lose their minds about it. But were these forced throws, or were these just like was good coverage and he threw into good coverage? Or on some of the interceptions, would you say, okay, is it the quarterback or is the defense just getting better and being more aggressive?
In terms of him throwing the ball, it hasn't been bad decisions. He made one bad decision today where he threw into double coverage. But outside of that, he hasn't really made many bad decisions when it comes to throwing the ball. He's just been inaccurate. I'm talking high throws at guys' feet. He seems to be reading everything pretty well. But then again, it's also cornerbacks and defensive backs in general just making really good plays. On the first day when he threw the 4 picks, Jordan Whitehead had this insane interception in the end zone, and Isaiah Johnson had this extremely good interception on the left sideline. And Bruce Arians even said on the interception from Whitehead in the end zone, that was a 50-50 ball to Mike Evans. Arians even said that day that he'll take that all day long during a game because most likely Evans is going to come down with that reception. So, like I said, he's putting in confidence, all that good stuff, but it's mostly just been inaccurate passes. So maybe the reason why Arians thinks he's ahead of schedule is because he's making the right reads, he's making the right decisions. He's not necessarily executing the offense, but he's doing the right things in the offense, and then that will lead to execution on down the road once he fine-tunes everything. That's speculation on my part, but when it comes to his performance in practice, everything I said were facts. I mean, that's just how it happened.
All right. Hey, I want to talk about the special teams. I don't know if you've gotten to watch any of
Oh
the
yeah.
special teams since you've been here.
Oh yeah.
It's been something that hasn't been talked about a lot on social media throughout the off season. But how is the special team shaping up? I mean, are you seeing people standing out and making plays, or what are you seeing right now?
So the kicking battle is one definitely to watch. To quote Stephen Beck, Stephen,
Yeah.
last year when he wrote for Bucks Nation, he wrote a piece last year saying training camp kicking is the equivalent to fart noise. So we got but either way, man, it's a really good competition. Both technically, and this is going back on what Bruce Arians said. Technically, Matt Gay hit all of his kicks yesterday, Saturday. He had one go off the right upright, but Arian said that the upright was bent out of shape, and if that would have been a proper NFL upright, which is kind of funny just to think about anyway, Tampa Bay can't even get the uprights right. But he said if that was the standard NFL upright, that would have been a good kick. So technically, as Cairo Santos was perfect today, only missed one on Friday, and that was from 50 out. So technically, the kickers through 3 days have combined for one missed kick. I mean, like I said, fart noise, or like Steven says, fart noise, but it's still something, like I said earlier about the DBs, it's something to be encouraged about. I would rather see them combine for one missed kick than miss 10 kicks throughout the past 3 days.
Yeah.
So there's that. Vernon Hargraves, going back to him, he's actually been seen in punt return drills. They've had him back there a lot. Today they had punt return drills with him. They had Scotty Miller. They had Spencer Schnell. His last name is definitely Schnell. He's number 83. I think his first name is Spencer. I'm sorry if it's not your first name, buddy. And then they had Scotty Miller back there returning punts today.
So have we seen Mbungawale back there? Is he possibly?
No, they haven't done any kickoff type coverage, but I have not seen him back there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was just kind of curious. I know that his name's been put out there as well as somebody who could potentially be asked to address some of those duties. So
yeah, certainly. No, he's definitely a prime candidate. I really like Scotty Miller, the idea of him back there returning punts. I know he's a lot faster than Adam Humphries, but he kind of has that Adam Humphries style to him, quick twitch, all that good stuff. And Humphries returned punts at one point here in Tampa Bay. Obviously, you don't want to mimic Dirk Cutter's decisions, but at the same time, I really like what Miller possesses when it comes to that position.
Yeah, I've got a horrible track record with wide receivers that are rookies. I was on that Kenny Bell train, and this is on my show, man. I can be wrong. I don't mind being wrong. Exactly. I'm a fan. It's all about fun anyway. Exactly. But I am on that Scotty Miller train this time. I've just been kind of quiet about it, but
no, man, get loud, man. He has looked really good, and the dude is fast. I mean, we already knew that he can run a 4.3. But, I mean, the kid can fly. And like I said, quick twitch, can get out and can move the ball in space, can make people miss. I mean, and just about every time he's been in during 11-on-11s, they're looking his way. Uh-huh. So they're trying to find out what he can do. And if he can just take it day by day and keep improving, then he might be something here pretty soon.
Yeah. It's interesting. We lost when I say we, the Buccaneers lost Adam Humphries. Adam Humphries ends up going to the Tennessee Titans. Yep. And you draft a guy like a Scotty Miller. And does he have the hands like Adam Humphries? Or, I mean, the catches that he's made, I mean, have you seen much? Have we seen enough from him to, start saying, well, hey, maybe this could be the guy that, he can make this team and help contribute to wins?
Right. No, he had, like I said earlier, he had the really, really good catch with Hargraves just draped all over him on Friday. And then he's made a few really, really good catches since then. He's dropped a couple, but hands are something you can always work on. So, but from what I've seen so far, no, he doesn't have Adam Humphries' hands. But that took Adam Humphries probably 4 or 5 years to develop those. But he's certainly got all the other physical traits and more that Hump had.
All right, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man, he's legit, man. I've been very impressed with him so far.
All right, I want to jump over to another hot button topic in the offseason is the running backs. And TC Baby One, somebody, one of the longtime listeners, he was asking, are we good with the running backs? I've always been a Peyton Barber fan. I mean, I've always thought that he just needed an opportunity to get reps and
Yep.
he could show what he's done. And he's a great example of making the most of any opportunity you get, where he's gone out and really worked hard to be that starting running back. I believe that, and before I jump over to you, that this is his job to lose. Just, based on what I've seen from him last year, he's your starting running back until we see otherwise. And, with Ronald Jones, this is kind of a do-over. I considered last year a redshirt year because of how he was utilized, and this is where he's going to get to start and, maybe make some impact here. So I was going to get your opinion. What do you think about the running back core so far?
I've loved what I've seen. And another element that Bruce Arians is bringing to this team, and Byron Leftwich as well, is passes to the running backs. On the first day, Jameis had a really nice shovel pass to, I believe it was Andre Ellington, for a touchdown. And Byron Leftwich came over and just emphatically tapped him on the helmet. Like, good job. That's what you need to do. Ronald Jones has been catching balls. Ronald Jones had about a 25-yard touchdown run today where he just blew through the second level of the defense and was just gone. I mean, typical stuff we saw out of him from USC. Peyton has had some really, really nice runs. So overall, I know, like you were saying, I'm a huge Peyton Barber fan. There are a lot of people. I heard one guy in the stands today randomly saying, yeah, he runs hard, but, he just can't get it done. I just wanted to turn around and be like, dude, he would have been 1,000-yard back last year
if they committed to the run.
Exactly, and if they didn't keep trying that stupid zone scheme that they kept trying to run, every other play. So he just needs, like you said, the right opportunity, which he's getting every single year. And yeah, it's his job to lose. Now, I will say this: Ronald Jones looked great today. Peyton was good, but Jones was better. I think Jones is going to have to just absolutely ball out during camp to actually take the job. But if Jones continues on this trajectory, then we're going to have a good problem on our hands with two good running backs. And then Andre Ellington, he's looked great, man. He made, like I said earlier, he made a really good catch today for a touchdown that he had no business catching. You can check that out on my Twitter. On my Twitter, I sound like an 80-year-old guy. You can check it out on Twitter on my profile. I was able to upload that video, and he's looked great as well. So, I mean, man, it's fun to actually watch a coaching staff have their guys ready, know what they want out of them. And the biggest thing, too, and Ren Dax kind of pointed this out of Pewtercast on Twitter, I think today or yesterday, can't remember the exact timeline, but Arians and this staff, just like Arians said when he was first hired, they're teaching on the field. They have the largest coaching staff in the NFL, whereas Cutter and his crew use film to go over everything. And you might as well teach them while they're fresh on the field in the moment instead of going back in a lab and then seeing if it works the next time.
Right.
Try to see if it works the next play, not the next practice. And that just makes all the sense in the world, and that's what we're seeing as well.
Yeah, it's going to be this again. You got a lot of players out there that have something to prove, and a lot of players on 1-year deals or on the last year of their contract, and a lot of players are looking to get paid. And I think this is kind of a perfect storm for Tampa in a way where you've got a lot of guys that are going to be out there giving it their best and really showcasing what they can do. If they don't get picked up in Tampa, they will. Because of their film, they will get picked up with another team. So again, this is just kind of a good thing to see these guys all coming together. And another thing that I did want to ask you about was the tight end situation. How have we gotten to see any of the tight ends, or how are they looking as part of this offense? Again, again, we don't know what this offense is going to look like, but are we seeing those explosive plays, or what are we seeing out of the tight ends?
Yeah, OJ Howard, he's OJ, man. Today was the first day he didn't catch a touchdown, so that was a little bit disappointing, but hey, you can't be perfect all the time. They're using him a lot down the middle from what I've seen so far. Cameron Brate, he's mostly been used on just some out passes, short stuff, but I also feel like a lot of that has to do with the quarterback play. Like I said, it's been really, really inconsistent. But yeah, I mean, they're definitely part of the game plan. Now, when it comes to your actually, Tanner Hudson yesterday had a great highlight reel catch in the end zone, I believe, from Blaine Gabbert. It was either him or Ryan Griffin. And I wish I had my phone out on that one because it was awesome. but he had a really good catch yesterday. So they're definitely using the tight ends. When it comes to Auclair and Jordan Leggett and all them, I'm not saying they haven't, but I haven't seen them actually make any plays yet. So that's still up in the air. But yeah, man, I mean, as long as they got OJ Howard and he's healthy, they'll be fine.
So with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, do you think Blaine Gabbert is our number 2 going into preseason, or is this a job that it's his to lose as far as the number 2 position, or will there be a battle for that number 2 quarterback position?
Yeah, I would think it's his to lose, which it kind of bewildered me in the first place that Ryan Griffin was signed before Blaine Gabbert, especially since Griffin has never taken an NFL snap in a real
Right.
game. But yeah, it's Gabbert's, man. I mean, he just knows the offense too well. He still has enough of an arm left. I do have concerns about his arm, especially from me following the Titans since I'm from Nashville, and he was
Uh-huh.
the backup quarterback and played in about 3 games last year, if I'm thinking correctly. The offense definitely took a step back every time he played, even though the offense wasn't that great to begin with in Nashville last year. It definitely took a step back with Gabbert at the helm, and it's definitely going to take a step back with if Winston were to go down. But yeah, between him and Ryan Griffin, man, it's definitely Gabber's to lose.
Yeah, I was listening to a Bucks report on Facebook on when they go live, and they had Leo Haggerty on, and that's what he was saying. He was on Peter Blake, and he was saying that it will be a huge drop if Jameis were to go down. It would be a huge drop in quarterback play. So
Certainly.
um, so that's something that we just got to keep your fingers crossed and hope he can stay healthy. I think Jameis Winston, for the most part, has done a great job health wise. So I do expect the same thing this year. TC was asking again, do you think Noah Spence will show us what we always thought he could bring?
He has so far. Now he has done this in training camp before, where he's kind of shown out in training camp and he disappears as the season wears on. Now, again, whether that was the part of the old coaching staff or what, but man, he's got a fire lit under him right now. He's playing intense. Scott Reynolds from Pewter Report actually wrote about him yesterday, saying it's the best day of practice he's ever seen him have as a Bucks. And also, pretty sure if any of y'all saw the play where he just knocks Donovan Smith back on his butt,
Yeah.
pretty sure that's where Smith got his Achilles injury, because if you watch closely, Smith's feet clack together like Dorothy and Wizard of Oz, and he just falls back, and pretty sure that's where the injury occurred. So, I mean, yeah, Spence is taking advantage of a huge opportunity with JPP out, and so far he's shown up. I mean, I mean, just right now, based off of this, yeah, I'd say he might just blossom into what we've hoped.
Yeah, and they're playing him at his strength where he can go and hunt the
Yeah,
quarterback, and that's
exactly.
that's what he was built to. That's what he's built to do.
Hmm.
And again, it's been that burning question: was it coaching or was it talent for this team that's underachieved over the past few years? So I really hope to see this all translate onto the field, and you'll hear me reiterate that throughout my podcast, because that's what's going to be important is all these plays translating into scores and wins for the Buccaneers. And again, with the level of talent that this team has, it's going to be great to watch them. But I think a lot of it is mentality, and those games in the middle of the season are going to be very vital for this team to really be able to succeed. Is winning those games that they've had the 3-game losing streaks, 4-game losing streaks, and being able to turn those games around and win games. Those losing by 1 touchdown or less, winning those games, turning those games around. And I think you'll see, with winning comes fans, and winning covers a multitude of sins. So you really hope that this is where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going.
Yeah, and speaking of the middle of the season, this year they've got that hellacious road schedule in the middle of the season. What they're the last week of September till the first week of November or something like that. 6 weeks or 7 weeks, they don't have a home game. So, I
Yeah,
mean, they're gonna have to find a way to get it done this year. And like we've been saying, it's a lot for a lot of players. It's a very important year,
yeah.
and we're gonna find out too if it's been coaching or if it's really a talent issue. And if it's a talent issue, there's going to be a lot of changes next year. But hey, this
Oh,
is training camp right now.
yeah.
Let's not start down that road.
Yeah, we can't get that far ahead. And
Yeah.
like Calvin Andrews was saying, we have to take it one game at a time. Can't look at next week when they have a game that week. Yeah, that's that. You're absolutely right. But again, I just want to see this team make the most of the opportunities that they get.
Right.
And
Right.
just kind of touching back on the safety position. Tampa has like 8 safeties or 9 safeties. What is the
They had 8 rostered defensive backs, or no, sorry, six rostered cornerbacks before they signed Mazzy Wilkins. So they had 7 rostered cornerbacks, and I believe they have 5 or 6 safeties. So as a total group, they have right around well, they lost Orion Stewart today. He
uh-huh.
went down with a really bad knee injury. Pretty sure he's going to be done for the year. I mean, he was in absolute pain. It was by far the worst part of training camp that we've witnessed so far. But you still got Justin Evans out now. So that leaves you with Kenchell Bryce. That leaves you with Jordan Whitehead, Mike Edwards. Who am I leaving out here? You did have a Ryan Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm drawing a blank, but I think that might be it, safety wise. So, but you still got at least a dozen or so safeties to rely on, or defensive backs to rely on, and it's just going to be interesting how Todd Bowles uses them all because he
Yep.
loves to use DBs.
Yep, and you will see a lot of those players on the field. So it's not so much about who's starting, but what do you do when you get out in the field? How do you make the most of what you can do once you get
Right.
out there?
Dakota Dixon. That's the safety I
Okay,
couldn't think of.
there we
He's
go.
in there. Yeah.
And somebody was asking, Kwame Richardson was asking, do you believe in our offensive line? What have you seen from the offensive line so far? And is this like a work in progress? Do you think they have the talent on this team, or is this something that should have been addressed a little bit more in the offseason?
Definitely should have been addressed more in the offseason, but with the cap issues. And then they were actually going to take Cody Ford in the second round before Buffalo traded up before them,
Uh-huh.
and kind of snagged him from them. And I believe that's when they drafted Murphy Bunting was after that. So they were going to take Cody Ford, which he would have been. He played both guard and tackle, was better at guard at Oklahoma. So they did have a plan for that, but they kind of got screwed. When it comes to offensive line, you're really not going to know anything until today. And today was without Donovan Smith.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still very hard to judge. The one thing I can say is that Alex Kappa is the starter at right now, and he's looked pretty decent. Ryan Jensen's been staying out of trouble. Ali Marpet was good to see. He had a fire lit yesterday, and I was looking forward to watching Donovan Smith yesterday. But
We had a YouTube is doing their thing. Hold on one second. Let's see if we can get this back up and running here. Stream is continuing. Bear with us, folks. It's like a lag here with YouTube. I don't know what's going on, but it'll. Okay, I think I see us. We're back up and running here. So, again, that's something to keep an eye on. Is the offensive line? Not sure how. I don't know. Again, injuries are going to happen, and I think that's the one thing that sticks in the back of my head is how is this going to be addressed? What's going to I know the cap has been real bad, and that's been part of the problem. What do you do? I mean, is there, or do you see any kind of other outlets or anything that the Bucks can do to get ahead of this? I mean, as far as depth, because the offensive line depth has been an issue for quite a while.
Yes, and it still is, obviously, with Caleb Benenoch being the starting tackle when Donovan Smith is out. The best thing they can do right now is pray. I mean, it's just that simple. That nobody gets hurt in a serious manner, because you're absolutely right. The depth is a concern, and they've got plenty of bodies, but when it comes to actual execution and effectiveness, you got a lot of questions. I mean, Earl Watford is a guy who is somebody to definitely watch, but I mean, he got beat out by AJ McCann in Jacksonville. I mean, who's still starting there right now, and he's a decent guard. But I mean, he's had his opportunities, and for some reason, he's just never stuck wherever he's gone. And there's a reason for that, especially when you've been in the league since 2013. So you just hope DeMar Dotson doesn't have any more injury issues, which he played 15 games last year. That was encouraging. But you pray that Kappa just takes that next step. You hope that Jensen becomes the guy he was paid to be. You hope Marpet keeps doing what he's doing. He's by far the best offensive lineman. And you hope Smith, you hope his Achilles injury isn't anything serious, and you hope that he becomes the $14 million tackle that he was intended to be.
Yeah, that's all you can do, man. I mean,
Right.
you and again, that kind of goes back to, is it talent or is it coaching? What can they make something out of the guys that they have on this team?
I think when it comes to the offensive line, I think it's been management. I think this falls on Jason Light. He has not made good decisions when it's come outside of Ali Marpet.
Yeah.
He hasn't made decisions when it's come to offensive line. I think it comes down to management when it comes down to that.
Yeah. Because there have been players available. I mean, we can all agree on that. He
botched it with J.R. Sweezy.
Yeah.
Right now, actually, and I was kind of I don't like to troll, but I had to troll a little bit yesterday. Kevin Pamphile, former Bucks offensive lineman, he's been taking all first team reps in Tennessee at right guard right now. So is that another missed opportunity? I mean, it just really feels like when it comes to the offensive line, it's on Light's shoulders. Not all of it, but the majority of it is.
Yeah. And I think Sweezy had a pretty good season last year with Seattle, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they re-signed him, actually. So he must have done something right.
Yeah. And I think that they just didn't give him enough time to heal.
Right.
But again, hindsight is 20/20. And, we could talk about this all day long. It's just, when you look at the depth that this team has, this is something that, most definitely you want to protect your quarterback. You want to make sure that you have the right guys in there to open up those holes for the running game. I mean, there's just so many things that are required, for that offensive line. I see them always taking late round picks for offensive linemen. And, I don't know. I just, to your point.
You need to get somebody up front. Yeah, you need to get somebody up in the front part of the draft for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, we can't cry over that. Here we are in camp, as, we've been talking about. Can't put too much into that now because, we're already here. But, this roster is fluid. The Bucks may get somebody else on this roster. We haven't even gotten into the first game of preseason. So really don't know what the Bucks are going to do at this point. But that offensive line is something that definitely bears watching as we go through camp. That's something you guys, if you want to look at something, that's where you want to look right now. Oh, he's saying J.R. Sweezy's in Arizona now.
Oh, he is. Well, we messed that one up. I messed that one.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah. The beauty of the internet, the beauty of Google.
Yeah, they're definitely. So, yep, there he is. Number 64. So yeah.
What kind of contract is it? A 1 year or is it?
Let's see. I'm actually looking that up right now. Gosh. It's not saying here.
SpotRack's always a good spot to check out. I'll see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah, let me know. I'm sure somebody in the chat. You have some great guys in the chat. I'm sure somebody's already on that. But yeah, Kwame, thank you so much for that. Again, we have Evan Winter on from Bucks Nation, friend of the podcast, and again, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, Evan. Before we jump off here.
So at Evan_Winter, the North and South podcast. It's part of Bucks Nation. It's part of SB Nation. That's at North and South B1. You can find me on bucksnation.com and on various podcasts, throughout the Bucks media as well. So that's where to find me. And J.R. Sweezy signed a 2-year, $9 million contract.
Yeah, Lightning Films just said that. Man, I missed that one. I don't know how I missed that. So
yeah, me too. It happens.
Well, I guess he got that contract with the Seahawks, and he proved that he's worth the money. So they signed him 2 years, $9 million. That's pretty good.
Yeah, We'll see if he makes it through camp, and if he doesn't, maybe he'll come back to Tampa. Who knows? I doubt
You
it. But
you never know. There's so much parity in the NFL. It's just crazy.
right,
I mean,
right.
when you look, the Bucks are facing the Titans this year, and I'll get to see Adam Humphries, and the Arizona Cardinals are going to Tampa. That's Bruce Arians' old team. Quan Alexander signs with the 49ers, and the 49ers are going to face the Buccaneers. So, again, there's always a storyline, or there's some kind of parity throughout the season. So it'll be really interesting to see how all this really plays out. So,
Yes, sir.
will you be at you'll be at camp tomorrow, right?
Oh yeah, I'm here till Saturday. I won't be able to attend Saturday's camp because my flight leaves at like 6 and camp starts at 4. And obviously, I got to be at the airport right around that time. But yeah, I'll be here for Monday's practice, Tuesday's practice, Thursday's practice, and I believe there's a practice on Friday as well. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I'll be here for at least the next 3 practices.
So, what are you going to be looking for as camp progresses? What kind of do you look, because again, this is camp. Do you look at behaviors? I know, like for me, looking at college players, I don't look at explosive plays. I don't look at those ESPN plays. I look at behaviors.
Right.
Does he jump off line, jump off side? Are we seeing a lot of penalties? Does he get a lot of pass interference? How's his footwork? You know, that kind of thing. Those are things that you don't really need a game plan to look at footwork or hands or catching ability. These are just behaviors that a player has. A lot of times they are coachable, but it's still something to keep your eye on and see if it consistently happens. But for you, how do you look at when you go to camp? What do you look for, and how do you look at it?
So right now, since it's a brand, like last year when I came, it was mostly how are these guys performing in a system they've been in for the past 3 years? Do they look comfortable? Are they making plays like they should? It's the third year in a system, so on and so forth. This year, I'm looking at how the puzzles are getting put together.
Right.
I'm looking at who's on defense, where they're lining up, how they're being used. I can't remember if I mentioned it or not earlier, but I know I mentioned to you before we came on. Carl Nassib and Anthony Nelson yesterday during Saturday's practice, they had their hand in the dirt, they were standing up, and they were in coverage. So that to me was very important to figure out, since Todd Bowles uses all different types of personnel and packages when it comes to his defense. For when it comes like the wide receivers, right now I'm looking at who's going to be that number 3 guy. If you would have talked to me yesterday, I'd say Rashard Perriman has a really good handle on it, which he probably will win out just because he's so fast. But at the same time, you want to limit his reps because of his injury issues. You don't want to have him out there on the field too much. But then you've also got Justin Watson, who's made significant improvement from last year. He looks to have a rep with Winston, a pretty good one at this point. And you've also got Scotty Miller. So I'm more looking at what positions are in flux and how players are being used and who's coming out on top right now. I'm paying attention more to that than anything, trying to find trends. Like they had MJ Stewart at nickel, and most of the time he was in nickel today. He was blitzing. Same thing with Sean Murphy Bunting. Whenever he's in nickel, he's blitzing all the time out of nickel. So it's just a lot of different moving parts right now, and I'm just trying to track all of them, see what makes sense, see what's consistent, and then also see what's going out on the field. So that's kind of what I'm paying attention to right now.
So do they have Perriman on any kind of a snap count or anything like that, just to kind of cover just in case of an injury? Like you said, with his history, is that how you would utilize him, or do you just let him go out and play?
I think right now you just go out and let him play. I mean, obviously don't have him doing anything crazy, that could put him at risk for injury. But I mean, he caught 2 awesome deep balls from Gabbard on Friday, both over the shoulder catches. One was for a touchdown. And then yesterday he was utilized a lot in the short passing game. Didn't really see much action out of him today. Like I said, today was kind of a weird day when it came to practice. So when it comes to limiting his reps right now, I would say no. An injury is going to happen in camp. I mean, like I said, Orion Stewart earlier, stuff's going to happen. But when it comes to the actual game plan, I probably would think about it because you've already got a lot of receivers anyways. Mm-hmm. And Justin Watson actually said today he's been playing 50-50 in the slot and on the outside. So he runs a 4.4. So he's got decent speed to be an outside threat. But yeah, kind of manage him when the season comes along, see how his knees are holding up, see how his soft tissues are holding up, and then kind of make your judgment from there.
Yeah, and I've noticed the Bucks have made some adjustments as far as their training staff. Uh,
Yeah.
and I'm wondering if that's to help with injuries, recovery from injuries, or I know that Bruce Arians is always on the cutting edge as far as the evolution of the NFL, staying with
Definitely.
the most modern things, modern approaches that are out there. Whether it's coaching, whether it's your staff, your medical staff, just in general. And I was just wondering, is that something that he saw that there may be some deficiencies, with all the injuries the Bucks have had, or is that just the Bucks had bad luck and it's just what it is?
I don't know to that extent. I'm not too positive. I don't want to speculate too
Yeah.
much on that. You want to give your guys the most information as possible. But I will say this. He specifically mentioned on Friday because practice had to be done indoors on Friday. Last year, whenever they had the first practice indoors ever in the new facility, it was 70 degrees, perfect AC running, all kinds of stuff. Well, Bruce Arians hired these sports science guys who run the indoor facility to the same exact temperature, humidity, and conditions that it is outside. So even if they're practicing inside,
Uh
it
huh.
feels like you're outside. So and that to me is awesome, and it makes absolute sense. Like if you got to get used to the heat, you've got to get used to all of this because you're going to be playing in September and October. Well, actually, you won't be at home much, but, but either way, you'll be home. You'll be home during the month of September, and that's brutal enough. So you got to get these guys accustomed to playing in this stuff. You can't have them inside all the time.
Yeah, most definitely. On the backside of this, I think it's going to be nice to have all those home games on the back end of the season. I think that's going to
I
be
agree.
really
Certainly.
nice, where you have consecutive home games. And yeah, I know it's bad where you have all these away games, but right when it counts, you can defend Raymond James Stadium week in and week out, and I think that'll be kind of nice. And I think that's kind of the flip side of having all these games in the middle of the season.
Yeah, certainly. And you never want to put too much stock into the schedule
No.
because for all you know, 9 of the 16 teams you play could just have terrible injury luck or just have crazy stuff happen to them. They could not turn out to be what you thought they were before the season. There's all kinds of factors. But this is just something we've never seen before, that type of stretch. But no, I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. I'm all for having home games at the back of this season instead of the front of the season.
Yeah, and if you think about it, if we go back to 2016, I believe it was, everybody said the Bucks had had one of the roughest schedules in the NFL, and they ended up getting 9 wins out of that.
Right.
So to me, you got to go out and play the games. Your team, the team you're facing, may not be the same team you saw the year before. So many different things, so many different moving parts that you just have to go out and play these games. So, like you
Definitely.
said, it could be injuries, suspension. We don't know. But the Bucks have to go out and have that mentality to go out and try to win those games. So that's going to be huge.
Man. Well, I mean, get the road or win Severs, Carolina's.
Okay.
They're close to campus, so it's not like going all over for 3 weeks.
Hold on one second. Your audio's kind of breaking up there. Hold on. You're like going in and out. Give me a second. Here, let me see. Go ahead and try to talk again.
Can
Yeah,
you
it's
hear me?
yeah, it's going in and out. I don't know if it's
Uh-oh.
your Wi-Fi or
Uh, I just
but okay. I think that's better. So
okay.
I was going to ask you before we jump off because we've been on an hour. I can't believe this. So we're shooting on an hour. Tell everybody what are you working on next? What is the next project? Are you writing? Are you putting up articles tonight, or what do you have going on?
Yeah, so every day I'm doing a recap of what I saw, based off of just stuff I saw on the field, my thoughts on it, and all that good stuff. I'm doing one of those every day after practice. I put out another one earlier today, just kind of how all the players were looking forward to practicing in pads today. And then actually, one of the other writers, John Marchant, and myself, we have combined on basically examining the guts of Todd Bowles' defense. We went through, looked at a couple games from his years in Arizona, the 2014 season, and we are using film clips and all that good stuff and kind of explaining the responsibilities of each level of the defense. So the defensive line, the linebackers in the secondary, We're going to show examples from that season, how Todd Bowles used his personnel and what he expects from those guys. And that should be dropping here in a couple days. We're already at 22,750 words. So it's going to be long, but it's going to be very informative, and it's going to be very accurate, and it's going to be a very good guide to kind of understanding this defense. Because I'm telling you, man, this defense is something else. A lot of pre-snap movement. You never know where guys really are going to be until the ball is actually snapped. And even then, it's kind of a guess, at least for my eyes. I'm not an NFL quarterback or an NFL coach. But this defense is going to be nothing like we've ever seen in Tampa Bay. I can promise you that right now.
And when you talk about this 3-4 and some of the other packages that they have in this Todd Bowles defense, these are things that Jameis Winston has struggled with historically as a professional football player. And just being the Bucs in general. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And to be able to see this on a daily basis, I think is going to do nothing but really help him to be a better quarterback, be able to read defenses a little bit faster, maybe change up or audible out of something that you see that doesn't look right. And, I think with this coaching staff, I think that's really going to be nothing but beneficial for him.
I guarantee you, I'm right there with you, man, 100%.
All right. Well, man, I am dying to get invited back on this show. I'm kind of inviting myself, but yeah,
you're back on soon. Don't worry about it.
Man, this is exciting. I'm happy for you that you're in Tampa. You're getting to enjoy this part of the season. It's always exciting to get to see guys, and we've been talking football, but no film or anything to back up what you're saying, and just to be able to see those guys out there playing is super exciting right now. I know I wish I was in Tampa right now. I'd be going to get me a Cuban sandwich or probably over to the press box and get some wings or something. So, those are my spots, man. Try to get out there and appreciate the delicacies of Tampa.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I've heard about the Cuban sandwiches. I'm going to hit one of those soon. I like Brick House, man. It's right up there off Dale Mabry.
Uh-huh.
Brick House, awesome, man. Great food and really good beer selection. That's my type of joint for sure.
There you go. Hey, if you get a chance to, they have devil crab and Cuban sandwiches at Bricado's. Bricado's has been around a long time. So if you get a chance, go into Yelp, look up Bricado's. Put it on your map and head over there, man. You won't be disappointed, I promise.
I'll do it for sure. I've heard La Teresita is really good too. So
yeah, definitely. If you want good Cuban food, yeah, there's a bunch of places actually that you can really hit up. So, man, again, now I'm wanting a Cuban sandwich now.
All right, I didn't mean to drive the temptation.
Hey, it's only a plane ticket away, man. You just never know.
The most expensive Cuban sandwich you've ever had.
There you go. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and I really appreciate your work. And tell everybody again how they can get a hold of you.
BucksNation.com. I'm all over the place, especially right now. At Evan_Winter, all lowercase on Twitter, and then at North and South B1. That's the podcast.
Be sure to check out the podcast. They great content. Again, there's so many podcasts out there. I have you guys in my rotation, and I like I said, I appreciate your work. So, what days do you put your podcast out?
Well, right now it's kind of fluid, but I'm doing an episode tomorrow night Tuesday night with Ren Dax from Pewtercast.
Uh-huh.
So that'll be up either Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. And then I'm going to try to get one more out, kind of a training camp recap before I leave. It'll probably come out Saturday morning. So, but once the season starts, we'll be doing one every Tuesday, and then we'll be doing one every Thursday, and then we'll be doing one every Sunday night, or an instant reaction recap from that day's game. And then the Thursday will be kind of a practice type report, and then also a preview for that week's upcoming game.
I'm looking forward to that, man. Like I said, a lot of good content, and you guys are one of the good ones. And I really hope that, people can catch on and follow you. And, following you on Twitter is great too. You have some great takes on, just football in general. And that's really appreciated.
Same here, man. Same to you. So, it's always good whenever you got corresponding good work going on. So it works out nicely.
Yeah, I know I'm kind of random on Twitter, but I try to straighten that out when we when we get on camera or something like that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and this will be up. I'm gonna edit the dead spots that I had on here, but I'll clean this up and this should be up on YouTube tonight or tomorrow morning, and that way everybody can kind of follow along. But again, thank you so much for being on, and we're going to go ahead and jump off of here. Again, folks, thank you everybody for checking us out. I will be doing the podcast again with my co-host Michael Pless on Wednesday at 9 p.m., so be sure to check that out as well. And that's pretty much it for us, and you guys have a good night.